What is the normal household who's making 85 grand throughout the country, both working? They have to make severe cuts or have to take more debt, which the debt then is more expensive, right? So I just feel like the vote to increase rates, I just don't understand it. I don't understand the logic and who's paying them. All right, welcome to another episode of the Risky Assets Podcast. To my right, we have Wesley Deaver. Me and Wes, again, we're brothers. We're colleagues. We are financial nerds together. We like talking kind of what's going on, and Wes more so now is a little bit more into stocks than I am. But like, we just love the financial markets, and it's really interesting to us, and we get to geek out and kind of use our brains in that way. So we just figured, hey, every once in a while we want to do some topics, and another one popped up with the Fed's kind of holding interest rates, and we figured, hey, like, let's just talk through it. I think other people are thinking the same things. And listen, we're not economists. We're not like the Wall Street guys. We're just regular dudes that, trying to provide for our families and make sure that we use our money wisely and that we're, being wise with what we've been given. So like, we are not experts, but we're good enough, I would think, to where I think we are thinking like the everyday people, because we do think we're better than most at the money thing. So that's why we're doing this. So with all that said, we got the news that the Fed is going to hold interest rates where they are, and I think even for someone like me who, like, we have debt on the business, I have home loans, I have all these things, and I think of people who are recently purchasing homes and they're in 6-7% interest rates, credit card debt with the high interest. Like, why do you think it held? Like, what was the catalyst that you think of what you saw in red?
Yeah, it's interesting because people voted to raise it. 3 of the 12 voted to actually raise the rates. So for whatever reason, it seems like inflation and how it has been over the past 6 months to a year kind of caused that. But over the last year or two, they were projected to keep lowering them every quarter.
I think everybody thought that.
And so it makes you wonder what it's going to continue to do to the housing market, because just like me and you, we're locked in at super low rates. So are people just going to stay? Because I don't necessarily want to move and double, triple my mortgage payment every single month. Yeah,
I mean, obviously, I tried to buy a house recently that was much bigger, much nicer, and it wasn't this like, oh, my payment just doubles because it's double the house. It was almost quadruple what I was paying to go get a house double the size and cost. And, I have a 3% rate. I think you're probably down in 3, 4, or whatever it is. And so I don't feel stuck, but I have zero incentive to look at a bigger house with a bigger payment and go like, why would I do that? Yeah. And that's going to create a lot of problems, on a macro scale and in communities. And I don't know, we've seen kind of the overall cost of houses in our area decreasing. So we're definitely getting a lot of the softening in the market, which, hey, I want to go get a HELOC. Well, I can't get as much as I wanted. And like that. This is creating a lot of trickle down to the everyday person. I think everybody, including myself, was for the past couple of years has been like, the rates have to go down. They're going to go down. They're going to go down a little bit. Roger bought a house. I was like, bro, it'll be fine. Like, he took some adjustable thing because he's like, it's going to go down. I think a lot of people have done that more so than
most
recently.
People have. And it's like rates haven't come down that much.
Yeah.
I think at their peak, they were 7.5%. They're maybe 6.5% right now.
Yeah, and that's just, it's so tough, man. I mean, right now, I think 6.5, 7 is pretty normal for someone with good credit. Yeah. And then, some of the other things that we've seen that I think are playing a factor is for sure oil. Yeah. Like the disruption in the Middle East and the chaos there is not helping anybody. Yeah. We had a ceasefire. It looked like the cost of the barrel was going down.
It was getting better. It went all the way down to $68 a barrel from its peak at almost 100, if not slightly over 100. And now we're back to 85. So it's like it's one of the main drivers of inflation, because the cost of everything increases because everyone's using the oil.
Well, it's okay. So what we do as Americans is travel, whether it's cars, it's buses, it's airplanes. It's all impacted by that stuff. Amazon is looking at stuff from a macro scale.
Everything's delivery.
All's delivery, right? Which means it all goes up in cost. And if that cost goes up, you can think from the bottom down to the top, right? It all has to go up. And I really worry, like even for someone like me who's doing pretty well, I have to look at the prices of things and go, that doesn't seem worth it. And I'm in a position where I'm like, hey, what else can go wrong? And I'm being much more conservative with holding my cash than I would have if I felt more confident things were going to be more positive.
Yeah,
I mean, explain it for you, right? Another kid on the way. Like, how are you feeling? Because you have a starter home and you got a couple of cars, but like what is someone in your position feeling realistically who is doing pretty good too?
Yeah, it's like I better make more money. Better have them quick.
Yeah.
But it's like, we are parents with only one income, so we want to keep the wife at home.
Yeah.
And I want her to raise my kids, but at the same time, it's challenging to live here in California with a mortgage, some car payments, and the cost of everything going up. So I think really, especially in our line of work, it's like, how do I increase my income via selling more, meeting new clients, things like that. But at the same time, we have to try and maximize our dollars and not buy the things maybe we were 6 months to a year ago. And now, especially accounting for the third kid, given what you and I kind of want to do for each kid of setting them up with an IUL, contributing to that monthly. So not only is it more expensive to have another child, but just the fixed costs for the goals that I and we kind of want to have for our kids, it's expensive. So yeah, I don't know. We're working both sides to like try and save more money and make more money.
Yeah, I mean, and 3 kids usually means bigger car.
Totally, which does mean bigger car.
Yeah. So that factors into it, and the cost of cars. Yeah, even if you buy a used big car, you're still spending $35,000 to $65,000 depending on what you want, and that again, interest rates on that.
Yeah,
that makes a difference.
Thankfully, they were a little bit better. I feel like a couple of years ago, it was 6% for a car, maybe a little bit more.
Now 5.25% is still pretty aggressive. Yeah. That's still not that great. It's good. And maybe we're spoiled because my last car loan was 199.
Yeah, that's crazy.
199 was my last car. So that's tough. That affects people. Okay, one of the unique things that we have in sales is that we can go impact our paychecks pretty quickly.
Sure.
Most people, right? It's salary. You get a review once a year, which again, it's not that it's bad, but also if that business owner is feeling the impacts of the squeeze from all these different things, it's like, where are they at? How do they account for it? What is the normal household who's making $85,000 throughout the country, both working? They have to make severe cuts or have to take more debt,
right?
Which the debt then is more expensive, right? So I just feel like the vote to increase rates.
Yeah, it was surprising.
I mean, I just don't understand it. I don't understand the logic and who's paying them to do that. I don't know. I'm fatalistic on that. Someone is paying. We'll talk on maybe on the business side a little bit more because I can tell you how I feel, not only just individually, but we run a business. We have 20 people, 25 people total, payroll, all the things that come with it. Taxes here are ruinously expensive. All those things really impact us. And I wanted to really grow and scale. So years ago, we made the decision to take on debt so we could hire more people, expand. And that payment isn't small.
Yeah.
And the rate is high. I think me and a lot of people were in a position like, oh, I'll just take it. And in a couple of years, I'll refi it.
Right.
Well, here we are 2 years later after taking that debt.
And it's still just as expensive.
And it's still just as expensive. And refining doesn't make any sense. It's just as expensive. That does put a little bit of a lid on us to be able to actually go out and impact and, provide good jobs. I think we provide a good place to work for a lot of people. I can't go do as much of it as I want to because there is a severe cost with the debt alone.
Mm-hmm. And you haven't heard about this, but you'll like it when I tell you.
Okay.
It was on the ballot recently, and it's SB 125.
Okay.
And it's specifically for raising healthcare costs to subsidize Medicare and Medicaid costs. And it did get approved.
Is this the $8 tax or something per head, isn't it?
Per head. So it's not per employee, it's per person enrolled on your health insurance plan. So you think of like a 50-person group, and they have $8.25 being charged per person per month. It's almost like $400 every single month. That's essentially just going to get passed off to the business owner and to the employee. So you're now just sharing in that increased cost, which I think is super frustrating for them to try and allocate the money to whoever they're using to cover in Medicaid, which I think you and I will have certain opinions about. But
I'll have strong opinions, yeah.
It's a little frustrating that that's being passed off to business owners and then employees along.
The tough part too for someone like me, right? And I'll just sit and say where I'm going. We offer good benefits.
Yeah, for sure.
And, we're not offering people bronze plans, not even really silver. We offer gold and platinum plans here. We treat people so well. We pay them well. And then we're almost treated as employers as the bad guys who like, hey, you guys have everything.
Yeah, you foot the bill.
And now we're footing another bill for people who aren't doing it the right way.
Right.
And, it's like that stuff does pinch. And what happens too, like, oh my gosh, what happens? You have 200, 300, 400 people on your benefits platform. It gets substantial, right? Mm-hmm. Again, it's all relative to a certain extent.
Sure.
But then I have to look at it, and any other business owner go either have to raise my rates, which in our world, like, it's really premium driven. We can't do that. I got to charge more fees maybe to cover that, which, okay, I now have to pass that on to my consumer.
Right.
Or I have to cut the cost of the plan somehow, which means give my employees worse plans, which I don't want to do. That's the bottom of the barrel.
Right.
But that's a no-win situation for the three parties.
Not everyone just has like all this extra money as a business owner to just cover those costs. It's very expensive, and it's just a pass-through tax that essentially the employer is collecting to the carrier, to the government.
I think that people don't understand, though, like even in a public company who has money, they have to show profit to their shareholders. Yeah. And if they don't show it, they either got to raise their rates or cut people. It's the same conversation I'm having.
Right.
Even though they have more money, they still have metrics they have to meet.
Right.
So like my metrics mean I feed my family, right? Their metrics on the public side is, okay, the shareholders and, the stock price. And I know that stuff's important. But it doesn't just come from like, oh, they'll just eat into the profit. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. You think of electricity costs too? Like I know energy has been up a lot. Yeah. That's all over the place. And I think the AI bubble, which again, we can discuss if people think about that.
Sure.
I think a lot of the CapEx expenditures is creating a little bit of uncertainty in a lot of markets. Because in my opinion, and I'll just give it to you because again, I'm not super smart, but people don't love it. I don't want to have a data center putting off God knows what kind of frequencies into my little brain.
Yeah, and using how much clean water to run the facility.
I actually like the idea of them getting sent into space and, all that good stuff. I think that sounds really fun. And hey, I don't got to worry about it up there. I don't think.
Yeah.
But the other, issue is that like how much are GPUs really worth?
I mean, they're expensive.
They were totally, they're expensive.
Yeah.
But how much are they really worth? The quickest depreciating asset behind maybe a Ferrari, right, is computer chips.
Yeah.
And we're spending trillions of dollars to get them in these, real estate locations and go, this is really valuable. But like they go out and there's going to be a newer, faster ones. And it's like, there's going to be a little bit of this, arms race. And it's making all the GPUs expensive for the normal consumer for other stuff.
What I was going to say.
And so again, the big boys are kind of hurting the little guys to a certain extent, which again, I love capitalism. So like I'm trying to balance that conversation.
Right.
But that seems to be affecting it because one of the people on the chair who voted cited AI CapEx as a possible concern.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I didn't really read all of it, but I think that there could be some form of artificial growth in the market that they're going, we need to slow it down because we think that this is unsustainable.
Okay.
What would you think about something like that?
I think that makes sense. And then just to touch on it or go back to it, inflation over the past 6 months to a year, we saw it's been like at 4%.
Yeah.
And historically, it's averaged 2 point something. So maybe some of their concerns are tied. It's all of those things.
Totally.
Where rising costs and inflation are outpacing whatever the rates are. So I don't know. I think it's probably a perfect storm or a combination of all of these things. But yeah, I don't know. You probably know more than I do.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no, right? Like to a certain extent, there's only so much that we have information from. We don't make the decisions, but I think everybody can see what the problems are.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of stuff that's straining the consumer, businesses. I don't think the government is helping. They're more right now in the way than helping. Sure. I think they keep saying we're going to help, but they're a big roadblock. The other part, and Andrew kind of touched on this. Shout out Andrew over here. Is that inflation, even though it's been 2 to 4% over the past couple of years in different quarters, when you look at it from 2020 to now and the overall increase in costs, it's got to be so substantial. You know what? Let me Google it right now.
It's massive. And I think when Biden was in office, we were trying to figure out what the real numbers were because it didn't seem to line up with how much costs were actually increasing.
Yeah, well, because they kept going, look at this quarter is this, but they
Right.
they negated that whole big, balloon that was created. And so I think that is a really big point of contention. Because again, when I look at what it used to cost me to feed my family at Costco, I can't step out of Costco for $1,000
Yeah, dude,
with
it's
my 4
crazy.
kids, and that's not normal. And I remember seeing it and being like, ooh, $600, that's more. Whoa, 700, that's more. And now it's $1,000 to get out of there. And I'm not getting anything that I wasn't. I'm not buying vacuums and, random golf equipment. That is just to get the food
Yes,
that
you
we
are.
need.
That's
Not at Costco. So I'm sure that, everybody feels that, and that can't be negated.
Right.
You can tell me all you want. It's kind of slowed down, but what would be the negative consequence of raising, or decreasing, I should say, the interest rates a little bit and giving people some confidence at this point? I know hyperinflation is an issue, but
I don't totally know what the downside is, because it feels like it would improve the real estate market and home values would go back up a little bit. Because in my market and in your market, they seem to be a little bit depressed. I tried to get a HELOC, or I did get a HELOC about a year ago, and I thought, I'm going to get approved at this certain value, this certain LTV, and it's like, oh, actually, home values are down a little bit. It's interesting to see how that's all kind of trickled down. But you would think that lowering the rates wouldn't hurt. But I don't know. Maybe they know more than we do.
The dichotomy I've always said this is the people in the housing market don't want it to crash.
Yes.
The people out of the housing market want it to crash. First-time home buyers, for the most part, are the people that you're trying to swing for votes. I am not where I want to be. Who gets me there?
Yeah, that's
Right?
interesting.
So the problem for everybody, and this is the politicians included, is that if you just crash the market, like that doesn't help you. They own properties. Like they don't want to do that, but they'll say it. And then if you increase and you go, hey, we're going to get the property rates to come up and interest rates to come down, you create a little bit of a frenzy. It still disenfranchises the people who can't technically afford it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, you're kind of in a catch-22 position. Supply is going to be the biggest constraint, no matter what. We don't build them fast enough, realistically, especially in Los Angeles. And if we are building them, they're so far away from the city. It's really hard to capture that.
And it's all you can do at this point.
Yeah. And so that's becoming a problem. You can only build so many ADUs even still in Los Angeles. We're all on top of each other.
Oh, good point. Did you say that they allowed ADUs to be sold as their own addresses?
I did. The first one just got sold a couple weeks ago.
Super interesting.
And again, okay, I own an ADU. Great. It's something, but I think that can be a challenge. Apartment living, condo living is not people's favorite. It's like a necessary stepping stone most of the time.
Yeah.
But like when you're right on top of each other like that, it's just not going to be great.
No, I don't think most people want to sell their ADU as an individual piece of property. It's like if you have it, you're usually there trying to make rental income. But who knows? Maybe it'll turn into something that helps lower income people or just college people. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe college debt's becoming an issue where it's like they're taking it that way. People can't control their spending habits. Okay. So from what I can see on the math and what Claude and Google are telling me, it is 29 to 31% since
COVID.
The beginning of 2020.
Wow.
So when you look at the beginning of 2020 to today, everything is about 30% more expensive.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You can't like that. That's crazy. 2021 had a 7%, 22, 6.5, 23, 3.4. Like that is wild.
Yeah.
Wild. And depending on how they manipulate the numbers, you can go up or down, depending who's looking at the statistics. But
Sure.
That's going to be something that I just don't know how they fix without bringing energy costs down, without bringing fuel down. They need to be able to, the interest rates at some point have to budge to give people, whether we're spoiled or not, because we saw 3%, 2 point something percent interest rates, like they're there. And it just feels like we're never going to go back to 10% interest rates with the cost of everything. No. And people keep going, well, it used to be 13%. Yeah. And your house was $100,000. Like
if that,
it's different. So I just think that the model for what these economists are doing, it's got to change on top of all the, how do I say this carefully, right?
Yeah.
Like all the,
good luck.
The theft happening in the system and all the, malfeasance and the wasteful spending. Like the government's not doing us any favors by continuing to spend the way they're spending.
Right.
What I see too, I was just talking to a framer out here and I was asking him because he's running 125 to 250 guys depending, it's like, hey, there's fuel reimbursement expenses, there's health insurance on top of the new SB 125 tax
Right.
that's coming out. I really don't know if any business owner right now is seeing relief on the horizon. I feel like they're
No.
just seeing more and more pinching.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that, just looking from the outside in?
No, I think it makes sense. And I even had a colleague of mine ask me, hey, is that client of yours, do they run all diesel trucks? Because they're even worse. Like diesel is crazy right now.
So expensive.
So it just feels like it's bad for most people. And even for certain sectors, it's worse than others. So no, I don't see where they're getting a break, whether it's on health insurance costs or tax, rising energy costs. Property here in California is really challenging. So if they do own a building, it seems like it's the property insurance market is getting a little bit better. If you want to touch on that.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so the wildfire exposure, I think people are done being a little spooked based on the Palisades and Altadena fire.
Right, yeah.
They were able to get their rates more so. Things have gone up. It's still not enough, though, is
Sure.
my concern.
Yeah.
California is still in the mid-20s for most expensive insurance rates, but we're the second highest cost of living.
Right.
Sometimes first, again, depending on the data you're looking at. Why does the insurance cost and the cost of living not add up?
not
It's
match
because the
up.
rates they're not there yet.
Sure.
So they still need to climb. So now the wildfire exposure has settled, but anyone away from wildfire is still experiencing the uptick.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a dichotomy there. We need to build new homes. People need to buy those homes. We're in Santa Clarita here. There's a lot of these homes being built behind Magic Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Insurance is a factor in that.
Totally.
And so
yeah.
when you're like, hey, this should be a $2,000 to insure, right? And the cost, because the wildfire exposure
Might
is
be
still
10.
6
Yeah.
to 10.
Mhm.
Yeah, depending on whatever factors you have.
Yeah.
That impacts the ability to buy the freaking homes on top of the high interest rates.
Right.
So yeah, that definitely is going to be a long-term issue. Even for commercial properties, being able to get affordable insurance rates, apartments are getting absolutely massacred
Yeah.
out here. And when you look at a cap table or a cap rate, and for apartments, like what do you think their biggest expenses are when they're trying to calculate NOI?
It's utilities, insurance, all the
Landscape maintenance, right? And
Yeah.
obviously the payment's the easiest one.
Right.
But what used to be the average, and I've looked at this over the years, well, I'll say 5 years ago, so right around that 2020 time,
Mhm.
it used to be that your expenditure on insurance was 1.5% of your total expenses.
Oh wow.
Today, it's almost 5%.
Wow.
That's a 4% difference, right? And you go, oh, it's just 4%. On the NOI, what that does
Yeah.
to the value of the apartment and your profitability, it impacts it. There is a lot of apartments going belly up right now
Yeah.
in funds.
It's
I know
like
there is.
Cap rate, you're splitting hairs to like try and get to the best number you can.
Totally. It all matters.
So if the insurance is eating up, used to eat up 1 to 2%, and now it's close to 4 or 5. Like it's a big deal.
It's a massive, massive deal.
So yeah, that's super interesting.
Where does it go? And hey, those guys that are maintenance employees
Mhm.
that you're paying, they spend more money on gas. They got to pass it off to you. Electrical costs, got to pass it off. Like there's so many of these pass it off costs that these people just don't understand. Last thing that actually just came out yesterday that I think is really interesting. There is in workers' comp for insurance. This will be a little insurance-y. There's this thing in construction called a dual wage threshold.
Right.
Your understanding of this. Basically what it says is that if you make over a certain amount of hourly wage, I'll just use as a carpenter, right? If you make over $36 an hour, you're going to get preferred workers' comp rates for those guys.
Right.
They're experienced. They've been on the job for a while to get the $36 an hour. They're obviously, experienced.
Right.
Anyone under that, you'd almost see this doubling effect where it would cost twice as much for workers' comp for those people. Okay. The new wage threshold is as aggressive as I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
Multiple
How much they raised it, you mean?
Yes. So what I used to see is they'd go up $1, every couple of years to go, hey, from 32, we're going to go to 33 for the wage.
Inflation. Like
yeah,
it
it's
makes
like,
sense.
okay, cool. Well, this year, so many codes went $5,
Yeah.
36 to 41. And I would say half of the rates or half of the different class codes with framers, like, HVAC contractors, electrical, they all went up by that $5 range.
Yeah.
So, and it's almost to no fail that those class codes that I saw, it was the same inverse cost of the high-low wage. So they're saying if you don't give them that raise, you're just going to make it.
The carrier's going to take it.
The carrier's going to take it.
Yeah.
So they are artificially, in my opinion, inflating the need to give those people raises because
Right.
otherwise they're just wasting money. You pay them less, and then you're going to pay them more in workers' comp costs.
Right. I'd rather pay it to the employee.
Pay it to the
that's
employee, but then there's payroll taxes.
Yeah.
And like this has a cascading effect. I again think this is where the government is saying we're going to help, but is actually somewhat getting in the way.
Yeah.
Because the employer has two decisions now. Either, well, I'm not just going to pay those people as much. That's a big barrier to get them to that $41, $42 an hour. So I'm just going to start hiring less experienced people to save the money.
Mm-hmm.
Or, which again, if you want to keep your quality up, you go, okay, I'll give those people a raise. I got to pass that off to the consumer.
Right.
And we're still in a little bit of a rat race of
Yeah.
okay, which means it takes more money, which means I got to go get more money. It's like we're still in that circle that's not really helping anybody. But that's another thing that, especially in California, I think we're going to see when all this comes to fruition. Like, all right, how do I pay these people? It's another pressure to the business owners. And that's just going to be a big complication.
It's disappointing too because it mainly just affects all of the blue collar industries. So whether it's framing, electrical contractors, GCs, like those are all the developers. It's disappointing because all of those costs get passed off to them, which then gets passed off to the consumer. So
100%.
It doesn't really seem like it helps. And say you want to give your employee a raise, but not to $42 an hour. Now you're eating both sides of the cost increase. So it's just kind of, it doesn't really seem to make sense.
No, it doesn't. Okay, so now I have it in front of me. So carpentry goes from 41 to 46. Steel framing, 41 to 46. Excavation, grading, leveling, 40 to 45. Sewer and construction for them, 40 to 45. Water and gas mains, like 40 to 45. Electrical, it's HVAC, drywallers, 40 to 44. Like that is going to create some problems.
Yeah. I mean,
$1, I think people would understand.
Sure.
This was very aggressive.
$5 to $6, that's like $10,000 to $12,000 per year per employee if you were just going to give them on a raise. And in those industries, that's if they never worked an hour of overtime.
Correct.
So if they're working overtime, it's just even worse.
But again, this goes to the insurance companies even still. Now, there isn't like this full... I understand that this isn't like a full-on impact, but like why would you want to give it to the insurance company?
Right.
Everyone's going to have that thought. I don't want to give this money to the insurance company.
Yeah.
I think the insurance companies will level out their rates to kind of account for it to a certain degree, but like people don't like insurance. They don't want to just pay it if they have to.
Right.
So, I mean, this is another, selfish plug for self-insurance. Like if you're big enough to do self-insurance, you need to get yourself into a conversation with us about running your own insurance program and not it just being dictated to you by other companies. So selfish plug there, but I do think it's so beneficial as the world keeps hardening that you have something that's creative and that gives you more flexibility in your own program.
Definitely.
So, for other business owners in other sectors, I think all the same factors with fuel, energy, like it's all going to impact them. And do you know of any sector that's, softening out? Nowhere.
No.
That's kind of how the inflation thing works, and that's what's making us all so nervous. So at the end of the day, you can only control the controllables, which is yourself and putting in the hard work. So I think there's people that'll still succeed, but they are making it difficult for the everyday guy.
And I think to that point, it's healthy to be educated so that you know what is going on around you, but like it can't affect you. At the end of the day, it's whatever you can do to try and make more money, cut cost, great. But if we can be educated along the way, like I think that's helpful.
Knowledge is always power.
Yeah,
it is. So I hope that was helpful to you. I know there's maybe some rambling, but like these are things that, they're not as simple as one issue, right? It's a holistic, it's a big pie that you have to dissect. So I'm sure we missed some things. If you felt like we missed something, though, put it in the comments and say what's your concerns for what is also impacting us. And don't just tell me the president. Get that crap out of here. Like, use your actual brain and intellect to give us real issues that are solvable. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and we will catch you on the next one. See y'all.
See you guys.